Hello everyone, and welcome to my beginner's guide for skill shots. These skills are usually defined by their lack of automatic targeting, utilizing a delayed area of effect, or traveling in a line until colliding with an opponent. There are several steps you can take to help internalize information that may help you succeed. As a first step, I recommend loading up a bot game or practice match and practicing the skill. While bots are incapable of reacting like a player, they make for good target practice. Alternatively, you can use your own creeps as a guide to land your skill of choice on the opposing creep wave. Maybe aim for the regeneration globe minion while it's out of line of sight and see how that works. Once you feel comfortable, or if you have ignored this step entirely, you may notice it's a little harder to hit players. Even after practicing the skill, enemy players will simply move out of the way, or move erratically, making it hard to land your skill altogether. This is due to enemy players focusing on you because there are no distracting elements present, or because your own actions are so aggressive they have no choice but to focus on you. It is possible to distract an opponent by understanding how they perceive you. In Heroes of the Storm, there is little focus to be had on an individual creep, so players do not have to split their attention, which means they will be aggressively watching your movements. In order to mitigate this, play passively. Let opponents move into dangerous areas by themselves. By walking past the creep line and acting aggressively, you bring all attention on yourself. A simple trick that works quite often is to have a lane partner play aggressively and take all attention onto themselves. It makes it much easier to land your skill and potentially secure a kill. You can also mitigate an enemy's focus further by roaming. By ambushing opponents that are focusing on your teammates, you can generally land a skill before they notice you. Alternatively, an opponent can become predictable as they panic. However, not every map will allow you to roam. When squaring off against an opponent, acting aloof, potentially moving away from an opponent before throwing out your skill, can catch them off guard. This can be applied to team fights as well. The more aggressive you are, the more likely the opposing team is to focus on you. Something as simple as walking past the enemy's warrior can warn opponents of impending doom. By letting the opposing warrior walk past you, you can be seen as less of a threat. Even just moving out of line of sight can cause opponents to forget about your very existence. Also, when an opponent is about to either land a kill or die, they are intently focused on their target or potential killer. This makes them far more predictable as they are no longer focusing on you. It's by managing how opponents perceive you that you can change the entire flow of the game. By acting very aggressive, you can take the focus off of a teammate, but make it harder for you to land skills or survive in a team fight. Alternatively, by playing passively and looking for opportunities, you can exploit weaknesses that you wouldn't have otherwise found, and quite possibly turn the tide of the game. Both styles of play, playing aggressively or passively, have their merits, but I strongly suggest when starting out to play passively. Each opponent will have their own reaction speed and method for dealing with your skill shot. Some opponents will have none, and they are best to identify and exploit. But as your ranking increases, these opponents will become less and less frequent. It is best to identify weaknesses in the opponent's playstyle as fast as possible in each match. By throwing out several skills in the early game, you can see how each opponent will react to a specific situation. If an opponent is being pressured by your teammates but still manages to avoid your skill, you will have to tailor your positioning and your aim to your opponent. Some opponents will take dangerous paths, and even go so far as to avoid their own teammates to dodge your skill. By tailoring your skill to your opponent and resetting that information every game, your win rate will increase substantially over time. At level 10, it is important to keep an eye out for bloodthirsty assassins. Players who are itching to use their ultimates can be a little less observant and worried about their own safety. This can be potentially an exploitable weakness that can turn the tide of the game. It is also important to understand where an opponent will move based on positioning. Unless an opponent is utilizing stutter stepping or animation cancelling that are ancient techniques from a lost era, they will usually be predictable on when or if they will move. Take for example a ranged character. they will probably not move unless an opponent is about to escape from their radius of attack. By knowing their radius of attack, you can estimate when they will move to pursue or use a skill to do so. With melee characters, they will alternate between attacking and moving, as they will have to continuously close the distance. This means firing on their current position can be dodgy, unless your ally is standing there and fighting back. And also, you have to keep in mind the opponent and ally's health, and where your allies are in relation to the opponent you wish to use a skill on. Enemies who are surrounded or being collapsed upon will usually run away immediately, while if they believe that they can secure a kill, they will usually play a little bit more aggressively and go straight for the throat, trading safe positioning for a kill, or worst case scenario, they are willing to trade themselves. This makes them predictable, allowing you to reactively use your skill with little threat of being focused, unless of course you are the target who is being attacked, at which point they are very aware of what you can do and they will try to dodge while also securing that kill. When chasing opponents, if you come across a fork in the road, be patient, let your opponent decide which path he will take. If you fire off a skill too fast, an opponent may just simply switch which direction he wants to move in and escape down the other path. By forcing them to dedicate to a specific direction, you cut off valuable options, and if they can't make up their mind, you can exploit this by closing the distance. It takes time to understand the intricacies of each individual skill, and the characters that utilize them. When leaving this guide and practicing for yourself, don't expect to get instantaneous results. Be patient. Every use of these skills can be a learning experience in and of themselves. If you've enjoyed this guide, please throw me a like or a subscribe. Also, you can leave a comment or do whatever you like. It's fine. I personally need metrics to know whether or not I should continue making guides. While this is not your responsibility, it will be quite helpful to me. For now, peace.